Are you seriously, Alastor? You'd never act like this with me.
Spending time with an old friend is a pleasure, you know. Is that so strange?
Well, yeah, you fucking hate me.
Ha ha, Vox. Why would I hate you? Where else would I find such a wonderful friend?
Yeah, no, that seals it. You're not the real Alastor.
And why's that this time?
Because you would never look at me like that. Not ever again.
The concept of a redeemed Alastor has been around almost since the very beginning of the series. It makes sense. The charismatic yet sinister radio demon managed to win over the entire fanbase on his own, and imagining him in a more angelic setting makes for some truly fascinating storytelling. We see everything from an Alastor with a complete personality overhaul to one sent to heaven as a punishment, forced to endure the happy, colorful horrors it has to offer, and even potential futures where all of Charlie's friends are redeemed, while she remains alone in hell for eternity. The truth is, redeemed Alastor has altered the trajectory of the many universes he inhabits, so today we're going to look at why it's not exactly what you think. Our first AU picks up right after the Season 2 finale. As you'll recall, when Alastor was in peril from Vox's laser, Emily was the one who saved him, losing one of her wings in the process. Remy Noah, the artist behind this comic, whose socials are linked in the description, shows us Emily trying to become close friends with Alastor. For his part, Alastor acts distant but polite, well aware of the immense power angels hold. He stresses that demons and angels shouldn't mix, a comment Emily completely disregards, only getting more excited and growing closer to him. Charlie notices this, and it reminds her of her own early dynamic with the radio demon. She likely feels jealous, either over her friendship with Emily or her bond with Alastor. It's also possible Charlie suspects Alastor's intentions, realizing he might take advantage of her angelic friend, since Emily is just as innocent as she is. However, because of that innocence, it's unlikely Charlie realizes just how selfish Alastor's true intentions are, so she's probably just feeling jealous of their closeness. However, Alastor's plans run deeper. In another illustration, we see Alastor and Emily with swapped personalities and designs. The usually sweet Emily has a grumpy, annoyed attitude, while Alastor keeps his signature charisma, but with a much kinder, friendlier demeanor, something that becomes even more apparent in his interactions with Vox.
Why do you look so gloomy, my friend? Give me a smile.
This new redeemed Alastor makes Vox even more suspicious of him, and with good reason. It's possible Alastor's plan was to convince Emily to swap their angelic and demonic powers, telling her it would help them understand each other better. Unfortunately, Alastor didn't account for how changing natures would affect him on a personal level. It altered his personality, causing him to completely forget his initial plan, stealing angelic power to conquer hell and subjugate those who dared to humiliate him, like Lucifer. It's possible that Alastor's true controlling and ambitious nature will eventually surface, returning him to his old self, but now armed with angelic powers. That would make him a true threat in the future. It would be interesting to see a similar storyline in the actual Hazbin Hotel canon, but for now, we'll have to see how Reminoa continues this intriguing version of Alastor. Right Fox Art explores what would happen if Alastor were sent to heaven after accidentally helping Charlie. Here, we see him dragged against his will into the realm of angels. When he wakes up, his outfit has changed, his antlers are gone, and he's gained a pair of angelic wings. He hates his new look and immediately looks for a way to escape. However, he's spotted by a couple of winners whose excessive joy and lack of respect for personal space make Alastor extremely uncomfortable, given his dislike of affection or even being touched. We discover, however, that this is all a plan by Sarah to teach Alastor a little lesson. While Emily seems worried about this punishment, Sarah seems to be enjoying the scenario. Seeing Sarah less serious and willing to pull this kind of prank is fascinating, and after everything that happened in Season 2, hopefully we'll see more of this attitude from the High Seraphim in future seasons. It's worth noting that in this AU, Right Fox Art captured the characteristic humor of Hazbin Hotel perfectly. This whole situation with redeemed Alastor feels very plausible for a future episode. In fact, the radio demon would likely turn the situation to his advantage without breaking a sweat, manipulating the winners, or even bamboozling Sarah and the rest of the angels. Thanks to his charisma, Alastor could slowly climb the celestial hierarchy, landing the perfect job for a redeemed sinner like him, leader of the exorcists. He could convince everyone to reinstate the exterminations in hell, thereby gaining the full might of heaven to completely subjugate the sinners, achieving Alastor's great dream, albeit in an unconventional way. However, Alastor's ambition wouldn't let him settle for just being heaven's executioner. He'd likely amass more influence among the angels to start a second revolution in Eden. Since Lucifer wasn't actually banished for trying to overthrow his father in Hazbin lore, this war against God would truly be the first in the series' canon. It would trigger the biggest, most ambitious battle yet, with Alastor leading a massive host of angels while also having all the circles of hell and their respective overlords at his mercy. It would fall to Charlie and her friends to stop this madness before a massacre breaks out. All these AUs unleash our imagination, letting us dream of stories that, while they may never actually happen, artists like Ry Foxart and others featured in this video bring to life for this great community. So don't forget to support them to keep discovering more of these fascinating tales.
Looks like I do have something, and now you don't.
Oh, you shit-talking son of a bit. Loot?
Now then, best 2 out of 3?
Seeing this next AU without context, it might look like just a redeemed Alastor with a great design that doesn't make much sense occurring during his battle against Adam. A battle which in the original series, Alastor lost in a crushing and humiliating fashion, having to flee to avoid being exterminated. However, this alternate story created by Zagon seems to have more depth than I thought. Everything points to Alastor being an infiltrator from heaven in this universe, an angel hiding among the sinners. It doesn't seem like he was an angel from the very start, but rather that Sarah forced him to be her spy in hell. To be honest, the story is a bit confusing, as the creator also depicts multiple romantic, or at least friendlier storylines with Alastor's enemies, such as Vox, Adam, or even Lucifer. This angelic Alastor storyline actually continues from what we've shown, keeping the humor in some scenes, but primarily highlighting his rivalry with Adam during the battle. But undoubtedly, the most standout aspect of this AU is the design. It features a more human-looking Alastor, maintaining his poise and elegance, but oozing even more style with large angelic wings and the way his antlers have morphed into a halo. It's quite unique and really makes this version of the radio demon stand out. This final redeemed Alastor AU tells a story in a unique and emotional way. It shows us a distant future where all of Charlie's friends have already been redeemed and sent to heaven. The only one left in hell was Alastor. After some unknown action redeems him, he reverts to his human appearance, seemingly without his classic madness and ambition, behaving more like a good friend to Charlie. It is precisely this care for the Princess of Hell that fills him with doubt about ascending and abandoning her. Since Vaggie, Angel, and the rest are gone, Alastor prefers to stay in hell so Charlie isn't alone. As the daughter of the fallen angel Lucifer and Lilith, the Sovereign Mother, we know it would be impossible for Charlie to leave hell forever. Remember, in Season 1, she briefly visited heaven to plead her case for redemption, but in this AU, everything indicates she is forbidden from leaving, something Charlie was well aware of when she created the Hazbin Hotel to make eternal life less chaotic for her friends. Shirotani Art, the creator of this AU, beautifully depicts Alastor's trademark smile slowly fading as he thinks of the eternal, solitary suffering his good friend Charlie would have to endure. He begs not to be taken to heaven, both of them filled with tears during their emotional farewell. With what we currently know from Season 2, we know for a fact that Alastor was never exactly a good person during his human life, so seeing this redeemed version is intriguing, as this more empathetic Alastor reveals a side of the radio demon we will likely never see in canon. Alastor's ambition supersedes any sentiment his dark heart might be capable of feeling. All these redeemed versions of Alastor we've seen throughout the video, despite being very different from one another, try to maintain the core traits of the radio demon's personality, like his charisma, his smile, or his elegant bearing. Let's hope to see the continuation of these stories, or even new and creative ones that show us a different side of Alastor Alistar, and let us speculate on the similarities and differences between Hazbin Hotel AUs and the canon lore. Remember that links to all the artists mentioned in this video are in the description, so you can follow them and give them the support they need to continue creating these interesting stories the Hazbin Hotel universe has to offer.